What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Before we get into this, let me just take a brief moment and ask how all of you guys are doing. Good? Hopefully the majority of you guys said good. Right, so here we are in a video discussing whether or not Guild Wars 2 is currently worth playing at present in 2017, as of my personal opinion. Yes, I know, people do in fact do these kinds of videos all the time. I know, I am perfectly well aware. However, I want to give you my personal opinion based off of what I find important and what I think other people should be looking for in MMORPGs. You know, like, just... I want you guys to know what I think, and I know my opinion does hold some weight in some of your minds. Therefore, yeah, like, here's my opinion based off of what I know, based off of what I've read, based off of what people have told me, and based off of what I've witnessed personally. By the way, just briefly before getting into the video, I would like to point out that if you do in fact enjoy the video, don't forget to like it, and don't forget to leave a comment, and also, most importantly, do not forget to subscribe, because we plan on doing more, I guess, is it worth playing videos in the future based off of personal experience, based off of research, on a wide variety of MMORPGs, just to let you guys know whether or not they are in fact worth playing. So, if you like this one, if you like the information that I present, don't forget to subscribe, because we will be doing this with other games in the future. Now, for real, we can jump right into the actual video. So, Guild Wars 2 is currently one of the most popular and one of the most active MMORPGs literally on the entire market. In this video, I plan on going over the different reasons why I believe that is true. I plan on going over the different reasons why I believe it is worth playing, or maybe not worth playing, currently as of 2017. Right, so Guild Wars 2 is set in the fantasy world of Tyria, a world that progresses through instanced environments with an emphasis on storytelling and crafting a world based around the choices made throughout the story. What this means, in essence, is that each time you replay through the story, it will in fact play differently. See, Guild Wars 2 offers you options, and with said options, you are given a set path that you're allowed down. This does, in fact, assist in the removal of the monotony, I guess you could say, as replaying the same race through, replaying the same storyline through the same way repeatedly can, I guess, get really repetitive. But being given the option to instead play through each version of your own game differently, I guess it allows you to create a more personal story based pretty much around your character as it is, and the experiences your character goes through. Okay, so let's kickstart this off with one of the most important features in a video game to me, the character creator. Now, I feel like character creation in video games, character creation in MMORPGs is a vital point of the game, because it, in essence, helps you establish yourself, it helps you establish the avatar that you created inside the game world that you're playing in. I mean, like, let's be honest. Do you like being given, like, 5 hairstyles and, like, 3 faces to choose from? Really? I'm sure that the majority of you guys that are watching this video, the majority of you guys that actually play the game, or play MMORPGs in general, can admit that having a good character creator does help the game overall, does provide a semblance of enjoyment, even just with the character creator itself. So then, how does Guild Wars 2's character creator actually hold up? I mean, honestly, it's not as extensive as the character creator in, as example, Blade and Soul, or the character creator in Black Desert Online, but that does not mean it is bad in comparison, that it is actually quite the opposite. You're given the selection of choosing your character's base height, their base weight or body size, for example. You're given multiple different faces to choose from, which you can further, I guess, expand upon. You can further craft using different sliders. And at the end, you're given the option to more or less choose the base colors of your outfit, which I know is really a big deal. It may not really be a big deal to most people. I mean, it's not even really that big of a deal to me. But I mean, it's a cool feature, especially since you're going to be in that base set of clothing for the beginning of the game. Now, while the sliders themselves don't actually offer a significant change in overall appearance of your character, it does its job well enough. Albeit you do see the occasional doppelganger running around, because the sliders don't give you like an immense amount of freedom over your character. But nevertheless, you are given the ability to, with said sliders, create a character that is unique enough to be able to actually enjoy in the game. Now, to add on to the character creation, there is in fact the ability to, after you're finished customizing the visual appearance of said character, the ability to craft, or I guess more, choose a set amount of options to craft your character's backstory. Now, this, in effect, crafts who you are in the game. It crafts like what you've been through, who you know. It essentially just helps shape the world and how your character interacts in the world and how other people interact with your character in the world. So for a lot of people, combat makes or breaks a game, and I cannot argue with that because generally it holds true to me as well. I can't really enjoy a game personally if the game has very poor combat, because, I mean, combat is generally something you do a lot in MMORPGs. Now, with that being said, Guild Wars 2 does in fact have probably some of the best combat in the market. I mean, it is definitely not the flashiest or the most fluid, I guess, but it is definitely impressive in its own right. So, right off the bat, Guild Wars 2 lacks the general holy trinity, as it were, that the majority of MMORPGs happen to adhere to. The holy trinity being the traditional tank, healer, DPS. Instead, Guild Wars 2 offers a different, more diverse skill system that I guess makes for, I don't know, like a multitude of different character builds. That makes for not only some fun ways of customizing your character, but it also allows for each profession to generally fill each role. Now, with that being said, every profession is in fact capable of fitting into every single role. What that means is that essentially every profession that you choose is capable of being either a tank, a healer, or a DPS, or they can do all three, basically. I mean, some builds combine a tank and a healer, or a tank and a DPS, or a healer and a DPS together to create their own unique hybrid builds. Now, another not necessarily unique feature to Guild Wars 2, but feature nevertheless that is quite prominent in Guild Wars 2 is weapon swapping. Now, weapon swapping is in fact somewhat necessary if you plan on being an effective player, and I mean, like, it is just an incredibly necessary game mechanic. So most professions in the game, bar I think like 2, possess the ability, maybe 3 actually, 2 or 3. Like, I think there are like 2 or 3 professions in the game, like in between there, that do not possess the ability to equip a secondary weapon type, but every other profession can. Now, what this does is allow you to swap between weapon types. Being able to do that replaces basically the active skill set you have with a skill set of the associated weapon. So, as an example, there are people that swap between a melee stance or a melee weapon and a ranged weapon, so they can take advantage of both, given that each weapon type actually has their own unique skill set associated with the weapon. Now, additionally, Guild Wars 2 also happens to offer a chaining system. What this is in essence is essentially you have your skill, you use your skill, you chain it together to create the next skill in the line or the next skill in the chain. And after each time you successfully chain your skill together, you get the next one in line until eventually you've gone through your chain of skills. I mean, it's nothing unique. Like, it's worth mentioning because it does in fact make it more interesting to play other than just spamming, you know, you're like 1, 2, 3 over and over. Finally, with regards to combat, Guild Wars 2 does actually offer something really unique that I have not seen in any other MMORPG ever. That is combo fields. So, essentially what combo fields are you possess the ability to use your own unique skills, and by combining your skill with either another personal skill from your class or a skill from another class, you're able to create like a combo field, and then they more or less use their skill. It goes through your skill. I know this is probably not the greatest way of explaining it, but it goes through your skill and creates a combo finisher. Now, the outcome of your attack will be different because the two of them, in essence, combined together. I know this is difficult to understand, and you can probably find tutorials on YouTube or maybe even tutorials online. Just Google it. regarding combo fields, combo generators, combo finishers, you know, like everything. It is a very unique system that allows basically two different professions to combo their skills together to create something new. And that is really cool. Okay, so the core game revolves generally around PvE in Guild Wars 2. That being said, if you are in fact looking for challenging PvE, then you may be a little disappointed. Yes, parts of Guild Wars 2 can in fact be challenging, and I'm not saying that Guild Wars 2 at times is in fact easy or not actually challenging, but a general complaint regarding Guild Wars 2 is that it is not in fact very difficult. It is not a difficult game. There are not enough difficult things to do in the game or things to challenge players. Which is not bad. Like, it isn't bad. Don't take this as a negative. Like, hear me out. See, unlike traditional MMORPGs where you're essentially given raid boss after raid boss after raid boss, and literally all you have to do is just grind and grind more and more difficult monsters, trying to keep up with the new gear that comes out and the new bosses that come out. Guild Wars 2, it generally likes to handle things a little differently. So a lot of people I know that actually play Guild Wars 2 actively still don't generally log in every single day because there isn't in fact a need to. What I mean is that generally they log in because they want to, not because they have to grind a ton of gear, not because they have to grind constantly, not because they're forced into raids every single week without fail. You know, there is no need, there is no focus, I guess, to stay that far ahead of the game and that far ahead of the competition. Guild Wars 2 is just, it's just different. Generally, you're essentially required to have a different mentality when playing Guild Wars 2. So, like, basically, if all you want out of the game is new raids all the time, new challenging boss fights all the time, I mean, you know, lots of challenging dungeons regularly, and just constant grinding, Guild Wars 2 does not offer that. So in Guild Wars 2, content is generally, I guess, released and accessed a little differently to how it is in traditional MMORPGs. See, Guild Wars 2 has a tendency to focus things more at the open world side of things, which forces players to engage with each other, it forces players to party, it forces players to try and seek assistance outside of, you know, like their guild, outside of just meeting a few people in instances, you know. It literally, it helps the world feel alive. It helps the world feel full. And this is something that the majority of MMORPGs seem to miss. The fact that, like, I get it. Fun raids are fun. Fun dungeons are fun. But neglecting the open world, neglecting your large open environments, not letting people interact with each other in an open world like that, it does not seem like a good idea. I personally love the open world. I love meeting people in the open world. I love seeing someone be like, hey, you know, like just interacting with them. Like, you know, if they're under attack, if they're like overwhelmed by monsters, you know, you can jump in and you can assist. These are all, their ways of meeting new people. Their ways of doing new things with people. Then this is something that Guild Wars 2 actually pushes, and I like that. Adding on to this is the fact that every new zone you go to, or every zone actually that you go to, has level scaling. That means that essentially you can be in the first zone, you can be in the second zone, you can be like level 10, 20, 30, 40 zone, and you can have max level people running around scaled down to your level range. What this means is that these people, these players who are max level, can group up with you, help you with your story, help you with your quests, help you in the world. Like, if they can just join in and enjoy having fun with undergeared, underlevel players, because they're not going to be just running around one-shotting everything. I mean, I've had people that are max level that have been playing for a long time. When we started playing, they joined us and they were getting hurt. I mean, at one point we got a few of our people killed because we went to an area we're not supposed to go to. That was admittedly for our level range. So that being said, being within the same general level range of all these high-level players that know what they're doing can actually make for some really fun, some really engaging times. Next is the leveling system, which is a very strange leveling system. Now, I was originally turned off by the leveling system, I will admit. It was not something I was used to. It was very weird to me not being able to go to a quest hub, not being able to just go take like 5 or 6 quests, go out, hunt down some monsters, you know, just loot some items. Like, this was generally confusing. I did not get it, and because of that, I did not like it. However, after further exploring the questing system, I guess it's a questing system, yeah. So after further exploring the questing system, I generally realized that just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad. Now, this rule does generally apply to all aspects of life, and as this is just an MMORPG, I recommend at least giving the questing experience a try, even if you don't like it at the beginning. Because yes, if you are a fan of traditional questing, if you are a fan of having a traditional quest hub, you may not enjoy this at the beginning, but trust me, although it does feel weird, although it does in fact feel strange at first, it's also new. And as it is new, it can be fun to learn and explore. It is definitely unique, and it is definitely a lot of fun to experience, as it is a questing system that generally most MMORPGs do not employ and do not utilize, because why do something different when what you already do works? Lastly, with regards to PvE, is the endgame. Now, the endgame in Guild Wars 2 is probably the most complained about part of the entire game. Now, unfortunately, the reason for this is that there isn't really too much content locked behind the endgame gate, unlike a lot of MMORPGs that have you essentially just level to a point, and at that point, you have access to, like, the rest of the game. Instead, Guild Wars 2 lets you do a lot of things at your own pace. They let you handle a lot of things at your own speed, and I think that's good. I don't have anything wrong with that personally, but there's generally a lot of stuff to do in the game, which I will cover in a minute. So PvP in Guild Wars 2 takes on multiple forms. You have the traditional structured PvP, which is more or less like arenas, where you put a party of players up against another party of players, and you duke it out for supremacy, more or less. And then you have the world versus world. Now, the world versus world in Guild Wars 2 is probably one of the more fun things for me to do in it, because it is something so different to what I'm used to. Now, I am an avid PvPer. I have played World of Warcraft since Wrath of the Lich King came out, and I have played PvP in it every single year I have played since. So I'm a huge PvPer. I play Overwatch, I like PvPing. Like, there's really nothing else to say other than I enjoy PvP. So world versus world, being able to pit literally hundreds of players up against each other, is mind-boggling for me, because I literally enjoy it so much. So yeah, you may end up running around getting wrecked by groups of players. Yeah, you might get ganked repeatedly over and over again, but at the end of the day, being able to work with your teammates, being able to work with all the other players in your server to just achieve dominance, actual dominance over the other server, it's a joy. It is just a joy that I cannot begin to explain. Now, while normal structured PvP takes you into small instanced zones, the world versus world, it pits you against the other server in a giant open world, a giant open space, world space. I don't know what you want to call it, giant open world space, we'll just call it that. And the sheer size and magnitude of that environment, it is just insane. To add on to this, there is in fact something referred to as a PvP league that is specifically for the structured PvP, where essentially you work your way up the rank, you earn points, and you try to get to the highest rank you can possibly get to for rewards. With that being said, there really isn't too much I can go into with regards to PvP other than, yeah, structured PvP pits you against another party, world versus world pits you against another server, but generally there really isn't much different than literally how PvP is handled in any other MMORPG. But I will say that at the very least, although PvP is not a main focus in Guild Wars 2, it is in fact a focus nevertheless, and it is actually handled pretty well. With the exception of the profession balance, of course, but what game really handles class balance well? Now, as I stated, the end game is often the main complaint regarding Guild Wars 2. So the end game is more or less a sandbox end game, in so that you're essentially left to do what you want to do with regards to the overall end game. As an example, if PvP is your end game, then you are given the option to participate in structured PvP and world versus world. Now, if you want more challenging PvE content, you can participate in raids, you can participate in fractals. If you want larger group content as your end game, you can go out and participate in large world boss fights. Then you can farm dungeons, you can have the general map completion, or I mean, there's also what the majority of people refer to as the real end game of Guild Wars 2, and that is Fashion Wars. I would like to point out that, generally speaking, Guild Wars 2 is a very well optimized game. I have personally had no issues either on my desktop or on my laptop playing Guild Wars 2 at max settings. And with regards to general latency and ping issues, I haven't actually experienced really any. Everything seems to respond really well, and I've had a very pleasant experience playing Guild Wars 2 thus far. So then, in my opinion, after all of this is said and done, is Guild Wars 2 worth playing in 2017? Is Guild Wars 2 even a good game? I mean, is Guild Wars 2 even worth investing your time into currently? If you're looking for a long-term MMORPG that just, it looks great, plays great, has a lot of customization, has a lot of general depth to it, has a large, active, friendly community, then yes, Guild Wars 2 is definitely worth playing in 2017, and it is definitely an MMORPG that you should be checking out in 2017. Now, if you're looking for an MMORPG that actually has a challenging endgame, that provides you new experiences, new constant bosses to overcome, the need to generally work with your guild to overcome new encounters regularly, the need to grind repeatedly, literally forever, to stay ahead of the competition, then I mean, no, it's not worth playing, because generally that is not what Guild Wars 2 is. Generally, however, I would recommend you play Guild Wars 2 if you have not already, because Guild Wars 2 is an experience that you have probably never had. It is truly a different MMORPG than I've ever played before. It's just, it's something else. That being said, thank all of you guys for watching this. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to leave a comment if you think I overlooked something important. Don't forget to leave a comment if you disagree. Don't forget to leave a comment if you agree. Because, I mean, this video is just my opinion, and you have your own opinion. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you think Guild Wars 2 is in fact worth playing currently. I would like to point out that there is an announced expansion coming out for it, so that is going to be pretty cool. If you guys want my opinion of the expansion once it drops, let me know. I will play it with Wiggy, who is currently not here. But we will post our experiences in the expansion if you guys want us to. Do remember also that we will be doing more videos like this in the future. She'll be doing her ones, I'll be doing my ones. We'll be covering a variety of different games in this same exact format. So if this is something you like, if this is something you want, please let us know. If you would prefer more higher quality content like this as opposed to as many gameplay videos being posted of like crappy MMORPGs, then let us know, because this is something I enjoy doing too. This is something Wiggy enjoys doing as well. So please, let us know if this is the kind of content you'd like to get more of. And don't forget to subscribe. Help us hit 50K by the end of next month, guys. Come on, we got this. We got this.